and welcome to Midweek, Experiments in Faithfulness. And this is a weekly facilitated spiritual practice with a Quaker flavor and an experimental ethos. My name's Glenna McKitterick, and I'm a program fellow here at Beacon Hill Friends House, which is a Quaker center for learning and action and a residential community of about 20 people who live according to Quaker values. And tonight we have Lahari Indraganti with the practice Creative Chaos, Randomness in Art. And life is full of uncertainty, and embracing the chaos is a true marker of inner strength. In this midweek, we will be inviting randomness to our art practice by sketching using our less dominant hands, writing found poetry using newspaper clippings, and using a die to help us color in some neurographic art. So we hope that you can join us now for an evening of chaotic art that is both relaxing and spiritually mindful. And have you all got some paper and pencils for the activity? Everybody ready? Now I'm excited to introduce you to Lahari. Lahari is a Quaker-curious botanist and a cooperative-living enthusiast. They care deeply about building community, sustainability, and mindfulness. She brings that to our entire community. Lahari, it's all yours.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I just want to take a moment to center ourselves before we head into the chaos. So if you're able and willing, I want everyone to stand up, just like shake it off for a second. You don't have to, you can find your own way of like inviting chaos into your life, but I'm going to do some stretching. Also bring in this chaotic camera angle. So before we get started, I just want to and we head into it, there's a few things I want to mention. If you are able, go find yourself a newspaper or any like pamphlet or any sort of like paper that you can find that has text on it. Not those. So the folks in the room, you are provided for. I will give you your items when it's time for those items. This is more so an instruction for folks on Zoom. If you don't have a newspaper around, just grab yourself a book or like a pamphlet or something like that. Okay, so there's 3 practices I want to do today. We have about 30 to 40 minutes. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys to like choose. So my choice would be, we could do some less dominant hand art. I have a really cool painting by Hieronymus Bosch. I think it's called Death of a Miser or something like that. It's really macabre and cool and very Hieronymus Bosch-y. So that, and we can try to draw that with our less dominant hands. The second thing I was thinking of is we could do some neurographic art, just like cool down, and then we could do some poetry to sign off. I'm going to put up a painting on the screen right now. Like I said, this is actually a painting that's owned currently by the National Gallery of Art, the Smithsonian. It's called Death and the Miser, and it's this really interesting, very macabre painting. So I think I'm going to leave it there, as I feel like that captures the most elements. So the way this next activity works is you grab a piece of paper, and hopefully you have a pad or like a table or something to write with. Use your less dominant hand. So I'm a righty, so I would use my left hand. If you're a lefty, you'd use your right hand. Grab a utensil of your choice, like pencils, pens, whatever. There's a bunch of Sharpies, pencils down there. And you just try to draw that as best you can. Try to get as close to it as possible. So why this painting? It's Ash Wednesday today, for those of you who celebrate / observe. And I was like, oh, this is interesting, person who is, maybe it's time for them to repent. So that's, it's trying to bring in a bit of that. Also, I just wanted to find a painting that had a lot of different elements, so you could kind of orient yourself using pieces on the painting. So that's why I picked this painting. It's actually not called Death of the Miser, it's called Death and the Miser. So make of that what you will. Okay, so I think everyone in the room is getting situated. I hope folks on Zoom feel comfortable enough to get started. So do you want to do poetry next, or do you want to do the other art next? So neurographic art, I'll just introduce the thing so you know what we're talking about. So neurographic art is like this Russian psychologist came up with it. And it's essentially you doodle on a piece of paper, like you do squiggles or any sort of lines, and then place where the things intersect, you actually circle out or like try to soften up the edges. And just doing that repetitive motion of going around and softening up the edges of every intersection makes you feel just like calmer. There's some other stuff that he said that I think is kind of pseudoscientific, but that piece seemed really legit to me. And I've done this before. It's really, truly like super, super relaxing. It's kind of similar to Zentangles. If you've ever done Zentangles before, if you've been to a previous midweek with Julie, you know what Zentangles are. But it's actually quite similar to that. So, okay, let's do poetry next unless someone has an objection. And then we'll do neurographic art in the end, because that's something you can finish up later too. You don't need to be in this room, in this space to do that. Okay, so.
Sending you a big hug.
Yeah, we might have to get going.
Okay, bye. Oh, wait, here's an example of what the neurographic art looks like.
Oh, that looks really cool.
This is awesome.
I did this one before.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Awesome. This was really fun.
Yay, okay. Have fun at your D&D game. Just lose like half the room. Okay, so I did a neurographic piece of art before. So basically I did a bunch of squiggles and then I rounded out the edges and softened up the corners. And then it creates like these like little tiny circles essentially. So we can do this or we can do poetry. Actually, I think we might even have time to do both. So let's do both. So there's two ways about this poetry thing. The first one is you basically like look at a piece of paper, exactly what I said in the midweek description. Look at a piece of newspaper, you find words that like, you pick them out, and then you write a poem with those, right? I think you can even cut them out, but I didn't bring scissors today, so we won't be, oh, the dog is here. So we won't be cutting them out, but you can like highlight them with the crayons and other like Sharpies and stuff, and write a poem with those words. Another way, I think this is more fun personally, is you can go through, it's called blackout poetry. So basically how it works is I take a piece of newspaper like this one right here, and then I see, for instance, the headline here says, House impeaches Mayorkas, Senate action unlikely. So I can just kind of like black out with a black Sharpie lines that I don't want and just like keep the words that I do want. And then the remaining words create a poem. So there's two ways of doing this. There's the blackout method, and then there's the method of just like picking out words that you like in that newspaper. So basically the chaotic part of it is you're limited to whatever's on the newspaper at the time, right? So the way I think this, you can write them all on your own. I think maybe a pairs activity could also be fun here. You get to like collaborate with a person. So whatever way you want to do this, on Zoom, I think it would work best if we just worked individually. But here in person, you can pair up, you can do it individually. I'll give you a piece of newspaper. You can either do the blackout method, again, like I said, that's just basically going through a paragraph and blacking out the words you don't want and leaving out the words you do want. Or the other method, which is just like picking out the words that you do like and then making a poem out of that. I don't know what my poem is called, but I'm probably gonna call it Story. Journalist warns hopeful of bad news. Highlights midway through minutes. Worker implicated in scheme. Hours later, an apology. Dun, dun, dun. Thank you. Snaps.
Nice.
So again, the quality really does not matter. It's about the exercise. It's about like doing the action of like doing this. Thank you again, everybody, for participating in these wacky, chaotic activities. I had so much fun facilitating. And I hope it was fun for you as well to be here.